Hello friends, welcome to EduTap. Today I have with me Mr. Vishnu Ajit who has recently cleared SEBI Grade A 2020 exam. Vishnu basically belongs to Kerala and he comes from a very humble background. He did all his schooling till 10th class from a government school. Then he basically went to NIT Calicut for doing his BTech in civil engineering and he followed it up by MBA in finance from IIT Mumbai. Both are really prestigious institutions. And then he cleared SSC CGL and is currently working in Department of Personal Training. Regarding his attempt at regulatory bodies, he started preparing for RBI in 2019. He gave RBI Grade B 2019 and RBI Grade B 2021. But his bad luck, he could not clear the prelims itself. Each time he missed the cutoff by very few marks from 1 to 2 marks. So we will discuss his strategy for SEBI Grade A 2020 exam. But before that, I would like to thank Vishnu for coming here, meeting us personally. So I mean, there is no better gift for a teacher when his students comes and meets after clearing the exam. So I thank you, Vishnu, for coming here at our center in Chandigarh in spite of such a COVID related thing. So I thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me here also.
Yeah. And regarding his source of preparation, as what Vishnu told me, his primarily source of preparation was EduTap, say 70 to 80%. Apart from that, he basically gave mock tests from various sources and he gave mock interviews at various sources, but his primary source was EduTap with respect to the study material. And obviously, his MBA also helped him in that. So Vishnu, my first question is when I met him, I mean, he seems to be very studious guy, but at the same time very humbled. So what makes you so humbled?
Uh, Sir, actually, maybe the way I brought up and the friend circle I have, maybe that is a reason.
Okay. But it's good to be humbled. I mean, that's the most humbled guy I've ever met in my entire life. Maybe he is in the top five. So I would request you to keep that quality. It will really help you to go distance in your career.
Thank you, sir.
My next question to Vishnu is Vishnu, you had your instances of failure. RBI grade B 19, 21, missed both times. The prelims itself by 2 marks. So how did you manage? At times you must be demotivated. What keeps you going?
Sir, actually, when you are appearing for this kind of examination where very few seats are available, so you need to accept the fact that failure can happen at any stage of time. So my attitude was that I will be appearing for this examination till all my attempts are exhausted. So I thought of appearing with that kind of mind, and that gave me a little bit more freedom to appear without any problem.
So anything which you used as a stress buster during your preparation, because the preparation time itself was very long, right? The whole 1 year due to lockdown and all. So any stress buster you used during your preparation?
Being a cricket fan, IPL was the best stress buster I have. During the IPL time, because since there were no exam, I took a little bit break from the preparation and I watched it completely.
That's good. We should always have a stress buster because that helps us clear our mind from all the negativities we might have related to our preparation. Now, coming to the next point, Vishnu. Now, there is a very common misconception that it is really tough for working candidates to clear the exam. Though I would say to a little extent it is true. It is tough,
Yes.
not something which cannot be managed. So, how did you manage your time during this time when you were preparing for SEBI Grade A and RBI also, and at the same time you were working?
Yes, this lockdown period actually was a blessing in disguise for me. That I was completely free for the initial 3 months, April, May, and June. So when the notification also came in March, so I completely utilized that period so that I will be I was about to join in July. So I knew that I won't be getting much time after I started working. So I try to complete the syllabus as much as possible in the 3 months itself. And while working, I used to Saturday and Sunday were off for me, and in the evening also I found time, and mostly I try to utilize whatever available time I have.
So that is right, guys. I mean, so he has a very smart strategy that he started in March itself. And by the time he was supposed to join in July, he has finished most of the syllabus except some chapters which were not itself uploaded by EduTap in the course, right? So we were also making that course in a very slow paced manner so as to give the quality. So he's finished the course by the time he joined. Then he told me that by September itself he was doing revisions. You can see, I mean, what a smart strategy he had. Now, Vishnu, coming to the next question, we talk about various things that makes you clear the exam: intelligence, good study schedule, good source. But what are the three topmost things as per you, which you think made you clear this exam and makes you stand where you are today?
Sir, maybe one reason is that I was not afraid of my failure. I was ready to give as much time as possible so that I can clear this exam. So that perseverance helped me a lot. And then getting a good course from EduTap also helped me. Getting all the material one single source of time one single point really reduced my preparation time as well. And then with my job I had a security a sense of security that even if I didn't clear the exam I can also always appear for next time without having any financial crisis, so that also helped me a lot.
So that kind of security sometimes becomes really important. Though I still suggest candidates not to be fearful of the failure. But when you have something in and you, I mean, at times when you're negative, you can always say that, anyways, if even something bad happens, I have my job, I can survive. So that's really good thing, Vishnu. Something you constantly focused upon, and when negative thoughts were in your mind, you always said to yourself that I still have something better than what others are not having. Now, one more thing, Vishnu. I mean, as we were discussing before the interview, you told me that around 80% of your preparation was from EduTab itself. Now, one of the problem that I see with candidates is that when they start their preparation, they are not able to stick to one source. Many of them would keep asking themselves that, will I be sticking to one source? Is that sufficient? What if questions come outside the source? Then they start going for other sources and they start buying a lot of books in the market also. So how do you think one should one should try to limit his sources, and how do you trust one source? How do you trust one source when you have selected one source?
Sir, this actually need to be answered in two parts. One is covering main syllabus. For covering main syllabus, I always suggest that to rely on heavily on one source, because otherwise it will create only confusion. You have to first finish that source, whatever information available on that source. You need to try to finish and you need to master it, and then only you should go for any other source. For that, you need to trust that source and you need to give sufficient time on that source, and after finishing that source you can go to any other phase and you can improve your conceptual understandings.
So basically, yeah. So basically, try to stick to one source. Maybe select that source only after doing proper research.
Yes.
And once you stick to one source, trust that and try to finish that, so that at least one instance of completing the syllabus is completed, and then you can go for other sources. There is no disadvantage in going for multiple sources, but if you do that at the cost of not even completing a single source, then you will be in soup. So please remember that first try to at least complete one source, then go to another source. There is no harm in doing this. My next question, Vishnu, is that you have some finance background, so obviously it would have helped you.
Yes.
But you would not have studied many subjects also, like as you told, you never studied about debit and credit before your preparation for this exam. So my question is that there are a lot of candidates from non-commerce background, non-finance background who are appearing for this exam. So what is your suggestion to you, that how should they study these conceptual subjects, which might be difficult at times when you initiate, but I think it becomes a lot easier when you are about to finish.
Yes.
So what is your advice to these candidates?
My advice is that if you are interested in that topic, then you will be you need to give some time to that topic. Maybe those who have with previous background might be able to complete that syllabus in 1 month. So you might require 2 months. So just give that time, and then you will be able to get into that track, and you will be able to compete with others as well.
That's a very good advice. Be patient and try to understand these things, right? I mean, be interested in that. Do not just do that from the point of view that no questions will be asked in the exam. My next question, Vishnu, to you is that how much time I mean, if you try to calculate the time, how much time did you give to your preparation? Is it the whole 1 year starting from March till Feb next year because there was a lockdown, or in between you started doing something? Obviously, you told me that you watched IPL as you just told in the interview, but apart from that IPL thing, did you start doing something else and stop your SEBI preparation in between?
I was simultaneously preparing for RBI as well. So I gave some of my preparation time to RBI as well, but mainly I concentrated on SEBI.
So we can say I mean, on a high level, you almost gave 7-8 months to SEBI.
Yeah, 7-8 months JB. But even if the exam would have held in November or December also itself, I would have been able to manage that.
Okay, because he was already doing revision by September. That's what he told us. So he would have been able to manage. So you can say that 4 to 5 months of time is required for a person, even from a non-commerce background, to be able to compete for
Yes,
these number
four
of
to
posts.
5 months are good enough. So.
Right. Now I would like to move to subjects like company law. Now, company law is something which is really, I mean, it involves a little bit of understanding, but there is a lot of cramming also.
Yes.
May it be your penalties, may it be your section numbers. So, how did you manage that? Any specific strategy so that you remember all the facts mentioned in the company law?
Actually, companies law, actually it was new to me. So it was really difficult for me to remember all those sections, penalties, and those form numbers, schedules, and all. So what I did was, if I get everything at one single point, then it will be really easy. So I made an Excel sheet mentioning the section number and what is the section about, and then what are the penalties, what is the minimum penalty, maximum penalty. In each and every row, I mentioned that. So if I so in a single sheet of paper, I was able to take print of that. So when I was able to see everything at single point
One
of
place.
time, it saved me a lot of time in revision.
So, how much time did it take you to prepare such a sheet? Is it a very time consuming process?
No, it was not that time consuming. It took around 4 or 5 hours. That's it.
4 or 5 hours to
Yes.
complete such a sheet from the
Yes.
entire syllabus.
Yes.
So that's a good strategy because again, most of the candidates will call us and email us and will ask about these things. Should we make notes? Though my answer is always no, because it is very time consuming at times. But in case you are doubtful, go for it. Right? Rather than thinking about the same thing and not executing it, go for it. It will not take much time. Not the complete notes, but at least something that needs to be remembered. You can note it down, make a list of that, so that those facts you can just revise before the exam. Vishnu, what according to you is the toughest section in this preparation for SEBI grade exam?
It was companies act only because I have zero background on that subject.
Okay.
Even in costing and accounts, I had a little bit of background, but in companies act it was completely new for me. So that was a toughest section.
And the opposite question now, what is the most easiest and scoring section as per you in this whole preparation?
For me, it was finance.
Finance. And what about management?
Management was also easier side for me.
On an easier side. So management and finance were his easiest sections, and company law is the most toughest section he could find. So I could see many candidates who have cleared this exam. They name company law as the most toughest sections, especially the CAs, because they are logical people, right? I mean, they really find it tough to cram all these things. And any specific approach for economic that you followed? Because economics is also one subject which many people talk about that is really tough, especially the later part, IS and LM curve, then multiplier and accelerator. All these things people tend to feel that it is little bit tough. So, what is your advice to them again? Any specific approach that could help them to cover the economics part easily?
Yeah, economics part. You need to for this you need to give some time, as I told earlier, because it is a little bit difficult to understand. Get the you cannot imagine that macroeconomic situation that easily when compared to microeconomics.
Exactly.
So you need to give some time. Read it as much as possible as you can. Read it again and again. Then you will get newer and newer ideas.
Exactly. So again, guys, is perfectly right that no, when you study management, you can relate it to real life. Finance also, I mean, you can relate somewhat to a real life. In economics, the whole scenario seems to be virtual when you study that. It comes to your mind, but you're not able to relate it to the actual life, that how it would be happening. So at times you need to be patient and study it again and again, maybe 2 3 times, and you will be able to understand. And questions in the exam are not that tough. If you have a basic understanding, maybe not in-depth understanding of economics, you will be able to solve it. Vishnu, my next question is regarding the time division. So how did you basically divided your time between paper one and paper two preparation in phase one? I am saying I'll come to descriptive English later. So uh, paper one was just qualifying 30% out of
Yes.
100. So did you devote any time at all to paper one, phase one preparation?
For GA, I had given some time, but
Hmm.
if you are preparing only for SEBI grade A, then you don't need to give that much time. You just need to clear that cutoff.
Hmm.
But since I was preparing for RBI as well, so I was concentrating GA a little bit more. But other subject QRA, I didn't give that much time.
And I think since he has already given CAT and he did MBA from IIT Mumbai, so you would be confident that no, I can manage it.
Yes.
And next question is again with respect to time division, but this question is with respect to time division or managing time in paper two in the actual exam. So 50 questions, 40 minutes, it sounds really scary. And then you have numericals also. So, what is the trick to manage time and try to solve all those 50 questions in 40 minutes in paper two?
Ideally, actually, you should try to give at least 3 iterations. Initially, you should try to focus on the easiest question. You should try to find out what are the easiest questions which you can answer it within a minute, and then you have to go in the second iteration whatever you have left. So, but in the actual exam, I couldn't do that. In the course of time, whenever I saw that question, I tend to attempt that. But I don't recommend that actually. You should try to attempt easier questions first, and then you should again come back and.
So maybe if not three, two iterations, the easier
Yeah.
ones first, and maybe in the second iterations the numericals and the tough ones. So
Yes.
so that you are sure that in the end no easy question is left behind, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because sometimes if we start solving in the sequence, and suddenly time is over and we come out of the exam hall, we come to know that oh yeah, the last two questions were really easy. I could have done them in say 1 minute, right? So make it a point at least you see the whole set of questions so that easier ones are not left behind. Now, the next question is related to paper two preparation itself, numerical. So, costing, commerce and accounts, all these are very logical subjects.
Yes.
I would say that you can understand the theory only if you understand the numerical part.
Yes. Definitely.
But in an exam, there was kind of perception numerical, not much numerical would be asked. 40 questions, 50 questions, 40 minutes. How can you solve numerical? But numerical were asked. But now my point question is, it is clear that numerical would be asked, but still, how one should prepare for numerical? What is the depth till what is the depth till which one should prepare for numerical?
In this kind of examination, you don't need to practice a lot of numericals, but you should know the concept, how you are solving each and every steps of that numericals, because they might be picking up some different steps, and they might be asking question on that particular point only. So if you want to answer that, you need to know the how it is doing. So you need to know about the conceptual understanding of how to solve that question, but you don't need to practice a lot of numericals.
And what about numericals which are just formula based straight away? Are those kind of numericals
Yeah, that kind
easy
of
targets?
yeah, that are easy targets, and you can that kind of easy numericals you can practice, and for lengthy ones you should know about the concepts.
Just listen to if somebody is explaining.
Yeah.
Like we had explained a lot of lengthy numericals, so that might not be asked in the exam, but that makes your concept clear.
Yes, definitely.
And then you can solve short numericals very easily.
Yes.
Great. My next question to you, Vishnu, is regarding descriptive English. That is paper one of phase two.
Yes.
So again, descriptive English is something which some people do not do in their entire life after they have passed out of school or graduated out of school. So you might have also faced some difficulty. You might have some phobia of descriptive writing. That how will I manage? So what was your strategy to prepare for descriptive English?
Actually, I was really average in writing. I was not a good writer at all. So I knew that I needed to give a lot of time on this to so that I can get a decent mark. So I tried to do as many. I tried to practice as many essays as possible. And we had a Telegram group of around 6 people. So in which each and every students evaluate others answers. So with that group, I get benefited a lot. We practiced around 10 to 15 essays on that group, and we got evaluation. And I also, close to examination, I also subscribed to EduTap course on descriptive English. And then Narvis sir also given me some valuable feedbacks, and that was really helpful.
Okay, so you got that personal feedback from Naveen sir,
Yes,
and
for essays, I used to get feedback from my friends itself, but in Precise and RCs, I got the feedback. That was the first time I got the feedback.
so did that feedback help you to perform better in the exam?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, it was help.
So maybe some points you were not concerned about that have come to the forefront in that discussion, that you are
Yes.
going wrong here.
Yes, for an essay, more than the content, you need to focus on grammar, spelling mistakes, and structures, the flow of the paragraph. You need to connect between those paragraphs, and
Exactly.
you need to finish it in a positive notes. So if you take care of these things, even if the content is average, you will be getting a good marks.
Yeah, that is very important, guys. Sometimes we tend to overemphasize the fact that content needs to be really good. The language needs to be very flowery. But I think there are many elements of writing a good descriptive paper. One is your structure, linking between the paragraphs. How do you start? Then how many grammatical and spelling mistakes you have done? You might write, something like Shakespeare, but if you are doing a lot of mistakes in spelling and grammar, nobody is going to give you exam. Nobody is going to give you numbers. So please take care of that, and that can be done only through practice. Tell me something more about the Telegram group. That is really interesting. You told you have a Telegram group of 6 people who used to practice internally, who used to evaluate internally.
Yes.
So how that idea come to your mind, and who were those 6 people? Were they your friends, or you randomly found them on social media and made a group? Were all of them a serious aspirants?
Yes, everyone was serious aspirants, but I didn't know about them. I just found them on Telegram itself. Somebody has messaged in the group that if anybody is interested in forming a group of small number of people for descriptive English, you can join. So I just joined that group.
I think that's a very good idea, guys. I think you should form some groups that not only helps you get feedback, but that also makes you kind of accountable towards other people. That okay, they are doing. I have to finish today. I have to send them a copy so that they can evaluate, and it pushes you. When you are accountable, it pushes you to achieve more. You become more competitive. So it's not a bad idea. You should always have peers who are as serious as you in your preparation, and I'm sure you will be able to achieve more if you have those kind of people around you. Now coming to your interview, Vishnu. So how did you first of all prepare for your interview? What are the 3-4 areas that you think should one prepare for interview?
For interview, there are mainly three parts. One is your profile. You need to be very 100% aware of your profile. If you should be ready to answer at least 3 to 4 level deep if somebody asks anything about your profile. That is really important. And then about the organization you are going to appear for interview.
You mean for SEBI?
Yeah, for SEBI. So you need to know about SEBI and its related act and its powers and function and all. And then the third part is about the current affairs. So whatever reason happens, especially related to security market or in finance, you should be aware of that. And not just awareness, you need to form an opinion on that. You need to find the pros and cons of that issue, and you need to form an opinion. So for current affairs, it is highly recommend everyone to read newspapers regularly.
So which newspaper is the best for SEBI related current affairs?
I don't know whether it is best. I refer to Live Mint a lot.
Live Mint. And my advice is the same. Go for Live Mint. Now, one is you prepare the content, your HR questions, your SEBI related thing through their website, I think, right?
Yes.
And then your, what do we say, current affairs. Now, this we have prepared, but we have not executed.
Yes.
So, did you give any mock interviews to
Yes.
get accustomed to the
Yes.
environment?
For interview and mock tests, you need to give as many mocks as possible. So then only you will get a different picture. You will be getting feedback from different peoples. So you will not be knowing what the interviewer is going to ask, what is in his mind. So the more number of people's interviews you will be getting more picture about yourself, and you will be able to answer in the actual interview more comfortably.
So, how many mock interviews you give?
At least 4 mocks.
4 mock interviews you give. So, what was the help you got from the mock interviews? What were your learnings, and how did those learnings help you in the main interview?
Mainly learning about my profile. I was not that concentrated on my profile. So when somebody asked questions on my profile during the mock interview, I was stuck and I couldn't answer them convincingly. So at that time itself, I knew that if I do that in the actual interview, I will be screwed up. So I worked upon that, especially since I had an year gap. So I need to find out the reason. I need to justify that properly. So I used words and a word file, and I try to type that all my answers, and I try to refine it as much as possible, and try to practice it a lot.
That's again a very good strategy. When you are not sure of something, try to type it, write it. Then the clarity will come, and you will be able to frame better answers. And can you tell me something about your actual interview? How did it happen? What were the kind of questions did they ask you? What was the main domain from where the questions were asked?
My interview was a bit lengthier. It went around 25 minutes. So they initially started with my introduction, and then since I had done MBA, so they asked me which of the subjects I have studied. So I told about the finance subjects I have studied, and then they have asked me questions related to that. And they also asked me about my job, current job I am doing, and the previous job, and the year gap which I had. They cross-questioned on it, and they asked me about why I want to join SEBI, why not other organizations. They asked that questions, and then they asked me about RBI as well as, and the recent happenings in RBI, because there was a news of surplus transfer at that time.
Yeah.
That was a hot topic. So they asked me about that, and they need to find my opinion on the way how I'm thinking about that.
So the way you have prepared the interview went like this. They asked you some profile-related questions because you studied finance. Then they asked you some current affairs, transfer and all, reserve transfer and all. So were you satisfied when you came out of the interview?
Yeah, I was satisfied with the answers I have given for technical questions, but I was not fully satisfied with the way I have given answers for HR questions. I felt I could have improved.
You could have improved. Were there any questions you could not have, you were not able to answer? You said plain
Yes,
no.
yes, some technical questions I was not able to answer, but then they shifted to other questions which I am.
So again, I want to make this point that's why I asked this question, because in every interview, every candidate would not be able to answer certain questions. So rather than worrying about that, I have not answered two questions and screwing the later part of the interview, be relaxed. That okay, if I have not answered, everybody would not have answered two, three questions. Doesn't matter. Be confident about you. Right. Before I close this interview, Vishnu, since we have some time, I would like to ask you about the mock test. You also appeared in the All India mock test.
Yes.
And he always used to get some really good ranks there, and I was kind of sure that he would make it, and he made it. So, what is the importance of mock test?
Yeah.
And what is the use of giving a mock test? It can be used for revision, it can be used for analysis, it can be used for practice or exam like environment. What according to you is the main purpose of mock test, or 3-4 main purposes of mock test?
Yeah, unlike covering syllabus which we had discussed initially, for syllabus we had to stick to one source. But for mock test, you need to try as many different sources as possible, because in that way only you can get different kinds of questions. The way examiner was thinking will be totally different from what if you stick to only one source, you will be only getting the input from that teacher only. So if you diversify your sources, then your risk also get reduced.
Okay.
So
And how do you, I mean, you gave mock tests from different sources, but then how do you, what was your action point after giving a mock? Simply just close it and move on, or did you used to spend time on what you have done in the mock test, analyzing it? What was your action
yes,
point
I
after
used
giving
to
the mock test?
give sufficient time for analysis, because analysis part is really important. That that will show you what are your strengths, strong areas, and what are your weak zones. So that will help you to to know where you need to concentrate on, you need to work upon. So I used to do like whatever the wrong question I have given. So I need to I will see why I have done that wrong. What happened? Is that a conceptual mistake, or is that a simple technical error? Just a mistake. So if it is a conceptual error, then why I made that conceptual error? So if I need to study that more, maybe because I didn't study that well, or maybe because I didn't understood the in a correct sense. So if that is the case, then I need to work upon that case. So or also if I take more time on some particular questions, that also I used to note down, and then I look into it why I took, even though I answered it correctly, I will see why I took that much time. So I try to reduce that also.
That's really important. As you said, mock test analysis is really important. It will tell you what kind of questions you are doing wrong, and if you're doing wrong, is that something you have not read, then you need to read it. Is it something you have read, you have forgotten, then you need to memorize it. Is it something where you have read it and you remember but conceptual clarity was not there, then you need to get that conceptual clarity. So that way it will help you to improve over a period of time. It will not happen instantly, but it will help you to improve over a period of time. And I think you were also part of 5,000 MCQ course, right?
Yes.
So you tempted all those 5,000 MCQs?
No, sir.
No, sir. So you were already giving so many mock tests,
Yes.
so you tempted some of them.
Yes.
Okay. And Vishnu, what is the importance of revision, and how did you manage your revision? Since you said you started your revision in September itself. So how many revisions you did, and what was your strategy for revising? I mean, did you used to watch all the videos again in the course, or you have made your own notes which you used to revise? What was your strategy?
I had made my own notes while watching the videos, but for revision I tried to stick to the original source. I didn't watch the videos, but the PPTs which has given the course, so I used to read that for my revision.
So I think revision through PPTs must be easy, because
Yes.
once you watch the video, the conceptual clarity is already there, and video is on that PPT itself. So you can just revise quickly through that PPT.
If you don't understand some particular part, you can always go and watch that video.
If you feel that you have forgotten
only that
something.
portion.
Yeah. So that's a really good strategy on revision, that once you have watched the videos, you have conceptual clarity. So after that, just go through that PDF or the PPT of that video, and you will be very easily able to revise all the concepts that you would have understood earlier. So Vishnu, I think it's time now to say goodbye. It was really nice talking to you and understanding your strategy, and I'm really hopeful that this strategy would help a lot of guys to clear SEBI exam in the upcoming notifications. And I really thank you once again for coming to our institute at Chandigarh. Personally, in spite of COVID and all these things, it really makes us happy when somebody who has achieved so much success remembers us and comes to us. So I really thank you for that. But before I sign off, any small message that you would like to give to our aspiring aspirants on our channel, it would be really worth it.
One thing is that don't be afraid of the failures. Even if you were not able to crack the exams, the amount of lessons you get will be definitely be useful for you at one stage of time. So don't be afraid of the failure. Try to come to a competitive examination with an open mind, that even if I fail, I can always try for next time. Even if there is no next try, then also the learnings are important. Always try to keep that attitude. Then you will be able to perform better.
Well said. As they say, failures are stepping stones to success. So don't be afraid of failures. And yes, we will be. That's a reality. But you need to have that mindset, positive mindset, that okay, next time we will make it. So thank you guys for watching this interview and listening to the strategy shared by Vishnu Ajit. And I take your leave now, and I thank Vishnu once again. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.